All right, it's time for some arena time, and man, this is a very symmetrical map. Look at that. It looks like a weird bug staring at everybody. Not every day I do arena, but arena is a really fun map if you want to talk about late game compositions or you enjoy a bit of relaxation, and usually it's both. We have Dark Noob here in the blue. Now, I have a talent scout, or not a talent scout, I have a game scout, and I feel like Ethan's favorite player is Dark Noob. I haven't verified that, but I have to say, like, Dark Noob is a really fun arena player to watch. I know his buddies out there will probably cringe at the fact I said that because those CL players, those Clown Legion players are always talking smack to each other, but Dark Noob brings some interesting things to the table. So he's playing as the Khmer, and then I actually do not know who the player is over here. I apologize. Could be a secondary account for some known player, but I have to imagine it's at least a player who's 2K or 2K1. Maybe I will find out that information during the cast here. This player here, oh, actually, it shows their elo. Wow, so they're both around the same elo. Okay, Dark Noob had dropped a lot, I guess. And so we've got Lithuanians here. Now, Khmer are a really fun civilization if you like to go straight fast castle. I will say that they struggle a little bit more with what to do later on in the game. And I don't know everything about this game, but I do know some things about this game, and I can tell you that maybe Dark Noob has found an answer for what to do with Khmer in the later stages of the game. The Khmer are known a bit for their farm efficiency. They don't need to drop off their food at a mill or a town center with their farms, which is always great for people like me. Khmer are also known to be strong because they can skip their prerequisite buildings. And by that, if you're going fast castle, you can skip your blacksmith, your market, your whatever building you wanted to make in feudal. And if my mindset's correct here, if I remember the build order, I think you can be in Castle Age at 1325. I think with a perfect castle, like he has 7 seconds of TC idle time. So that might delay him by 7 seconds or something. But it's like 1330 or something along those lines. Not much the enemy can really do to stop it because the map is arena. Now on the other side, Lithuanians are awesome. And I think with Lithuanians, you don't have as many, let's say, question marks on how to play them. You start with 150 extra food, which makes their Dark Age very clean. It makes the fast castle very easy as well. The more relics you gather, the more attack you're going to have on your Cavalier or Latus. They have awesome skirmishers and awesome halberdiers. Like, and I could continue on. They have gunpowder. They have bombard cannons. Khmer don't have bombard cannons, for example. The more I think about Lithuanians, from the Hussars to the Cavalier to their unique unit, which you see a lot more frequently than any unique unit from the Khmer, it just feels better to be the Lithuanians. So we'll see what happens. Again, we have some time to chill out, and people are speculating on what the map looks like. Some people said they see a snake with glasses. That's cool. But yeah, let's see what happens. I would expect that Dark Noob will maybe want to compete for relics. And again, it's really nice that you can kind of cut the corners while doing so, because you don't need the barracks before adding a stable. So in theory, we could just see a fast castle, a stable for a couple scouts to try and compete for the relics, and then you can use the rest of your wood for town centers. Their halbs are actually bad. No blast furnace and no plate mail armor. No, I think their trash is still good, right? Because they have their unique tech. Obviously, like, I think their halbs are not going to be quite as strong in melee engagements. But I think the unique tech and having the faster halbs and skirms is nice. Because I think a weakness of halb and skirm too is that can be kind of slow. I think it depends on the situation. I think saying they're bad is probably an overstatement. Saying they're not the best is fair, but I still think, I mean, they've got bonuses for it. They've got extra speed. Combined with some of the other options, like hand cannons, bombard cannons, and their stable units, could be really strong. Yeah, Red's got a lot of villagers queued, but Red eventually is going to realize that and just unqueue them. Some players do that. I will do that in later stages of games. Like, I have a habit of forgetting to stop creating villagers when I have, like, 130 or whatever. The highest I've ever gotten to was 180 before realizing, and I'm not even kidding. To be fair, it was booming up to Siege Onager, but yeah, some players kind of have the same thing going in this age. And okay, so I'll be curious to see what Dark Noob's resources look like, because Dark Noob is definitely going a bit slower. But I'm going to tell you why Dark Noob's doing this. A lot of the arena guys tend to do it. So basically, what I had said already is that you could do 23 population, and then you could go immediately from Feudal Age to Castle Age. It's true. However, if you do that, when you make it to Castle Age, you're not really able to combine two different things. So what I had touched on before was making the stable, having the food for a couple scouts, and then having the wood for a TC. I don't think that would be realistic. You would kind of have to choose. And so I think it's going to end up being better here for Dark Noob to go up what is a little bit later than I had mentioned, but then you're still faster than your opponent, and you can actually do a bit more with it. So we'll see. Favorite thing about Lithuanians is that you never feel the pressure mounting as the game goes longer. Odds of winning only go up with time. To an extent, yes. To an extent, yes. Like, I feel like in really late game, they could struggle a little bit because, you know, their halbs, as was mentioned, don't get full upgrades. Their hussars don't get blast furnace. They don't get siege ram. Like, I always think, what are your trash upgrades? And then do you get siege ram in the very late game? But I agree with you that it's not a civilization that ever really struggles in most ages. It's very good. Whereas Khmer, you do have some more awkward spots. All right, so as I said, Dark Noob clicks up to Castle Age immediately. Doesn't have to wait for buildings. And Dark Noob is going to build the stable. And we'll have to pay attention to it. But it feels like Dark Noob's going to be able to make the scouts, have good eco upgrades, make a monastery, and then add a town center. What do you think of the relic generations here? I feel like it's... I don't know. It's not as symmetrical as I normally see, but I think it's fairly fair, I guess. I guess this one is a neutral one. This one's a little closer to red. This one's closer to red. These two are closer to blue. Seems fine to me. And our red player's on the way up. Cool, cool. All right, scouts on the way here from red. This is the meta, especially when players are far away on arena. Control the relics, and you need to make sure you control those relics against the Lithuanians. You do not want to deal with the Lithuanians once they have 3 or 4 relics. The Dark Noob will be out and about, and this is what we'll talk about for a while, guys. But then we'll eventually get to those late game compositions once the economies get rolling. So scouts are going to be in a higher number for Dark Noob, but Dark Noob could also win the race to an upgrade like Light Cav if that was a choice. And opens up with the monastery there. Easy, easy. Also, what's up, James? What's up, Tima? Tima, I was not given any info on who this red player is, but we don't have working AoE2.net or AoE Nexus right now well, never mind. I'd rather not. I'm going to save my thoughts on that. Some of you may know the situation right now across the scene. But normally, you just pull up a player profile and you look at it, and people could tell me if this person is known as something else, but can't do that at the moment. And from what I've heard, it might take some time till those things are back in action. All right, so great job from Red so far. Like, please don't think that Red is underperforming here. Red has played as good as you could expect. In Castle Age at 1450 is really strong. And now is also getting Light Cav. It's interesting how Dark Noob chose to get the Castle Age farm upgrade before the wood upgrade. Normally players will reverse that order. I also really like this farm right next to the monastery. It just looks so nice with the door that direction as well. Again, Light Cav are out and about. Monks are going to be out there as well. Both players looking to kill others Light Cav, and then obviously looking to kill monks. This is an engagement that will not be so good for Dark Noob if he continues to take it. And you can see the micro involved here from both players. It's actually going to end up being pretty close. Not a fan of Dark Noob sending the monk out like that. I think Dark Noob just completely misjudged the situation, so not so good for him so far. Very worrying signs for the player who's expected to maybe have a relic or two by now, but it is pretty common for arena players to prioritize the furthest relics first. if they're contesting it. If you are not contesting the middle with light cav, then you want to take the closest relics, obviously. The red's going to snag this one. Say thank you very much. The second town center will complete for red. Second town center is soon going to complete for blue. These farms are very efficient, and there's plenty of food on them now after heavy plow was researched. I wonder, like, I honestly feel like that's worth it. As long as you get the wood upgrade in Castle Age, because that's a pretty big upgrade to get, I think it's fine. But, like, he was just about to place some farms. It felt natural. Anyways, KD right now is 5-4. And overall, it's a very close game, though I would prefer Red's position. Ever so slightly. And I would definitely prefer Red's civilization from here as well. Like, what do Khmer open with? So you're going to have... So what Khmer used to dominate with was Arbalest, which were inferior Arbalests, which would give you an idea of like how good they were with their boom. Hussar and bomber cannons. And so they would get all that pressure in, and with bomber cannons, press the opponent back before the opponent could build up something to counter it. The problem was, as this monk has to run away from the light cav and will fail to do so, they removed bomber cannon from Khmer because it was too strong. And now, you know, siege ram's fairly expensive, and it's not really something you can do quickly. Trebuchets takes time to build up. On Arena, do you really want to go, like, Hussar opening, or go for Arbalest when Arbalest are quite weak without Thumbring? Again, with Lithuanians, you got, like, the Cav, you got Paladin, Latus. You have bonuses for Skirms and Halbs. And the main thing that Khmer would want to do if it was like a 45-minute game, no pressure, full boom, and then everyone attacks with one big battle would be Elephants. But Elephants are too expensive, so it's not something you see frequently. Yeah, exactly what Duve said in chat is spot on. It's like we actually saw it. I did a cast yesterday of Duve versus Sully, some 1,500 viewers, and like the Khmer player was just like, what do I do? I can't afford Elephants. But maybe on Arena, you could justify it a little bit more. And Puppy Saturation, their Scorpions are also awesome, but Heavy Scorpion is 1,100 wood and 1,000 food. And then you need the Scorpions, and then you need double crossbow upgrade. Then you need Chemistry and Siege Engineers. That's like thousands and thousands of resources. 2-2 with the relics right now, by the way. I'm not actually sure where the other relic was, because I was just talking about... the bonuses, and yeah, okay, there's the third relic for Dark Noob. So Dark Noob got away with that. Not too bad. I think Red will be slightly disappointed by that. It is 3 TCs now for both players. Dark Noob has pulled ahead ever so slightly with the Vil count. Doesn't need to rely on things like handcart and wheelbarrow as much with this Civ. As I say, that wheelbarrow gets clicked, but the thing that wheelbarrow and handcart affects the most would be farms. And since you don't need to walk around with the Khmer, it's always very helpful. In fact, let's look at the food. Yeah, you can see there's a food difference there. Yeah, also Scorpions would die to a Civ that has Bomber Cannon, which Lithuanians have. Like, the Dark Noob's got to be thinking right now, like, what do I make? Do I try and add a 4th town center and go for a crazy boom? Sometimes, as I mentioned before, you just rush faster to the next stage and try and kill that quickly with that bonus, and you don't really worry about what unit you make. You just try and avoid the time in the game where the other person's units would be stronger than yours. But I have to say, those situations are never ideal, and as a caster, at least when I'm handpicking games, it's also not really that enjoyable at times. Like... I feel like one of the best part about Age of Empires for majority of players and viewers is like the units themselves, right? And Age of Empires 2, I think does a wonderful job not relying on unique units all the time. There's a lot of unique bonuses and game flow to, I guess, standard units like, you know, from the stable Archer Ranger barracks. But every once in a while, you want to see something more unique than that. And there's the 4th TC. 4th TC comes up. Now, do you guys remember one of the changes made to unique units in... I don't know if it was the previous patch or the patch before. Forgive me for not remembering which patch it was. Here we have Cav from Dark Noob looking to take map control. But I made some comments because the devs had a patch where they buffed unique units. I don't think that was the most recent patch. I think it was the patch before. Anyways, they did a great job. They made certain unique units that we weren't seeing that much cheaper. They changed the base attack of Castle Age unique units like Berserks. I think Berserks used to have 8 or 9 base attack, and they upped it to 8 or 11. Or, sorry, 10 or 11 base attack. Yeah, for the Castle Age one. Basically, long story short, there was a very long list, and a lot of the infantry unique units were buffed in Castle Age, which for me felt like a really good decision. But then I think in their boardroom, in their balance room, they started to talk, and they were like, hey, what other units aren't we seeing a lot of? And then one guy's like, well, we don't really see Ballista Elephants that much, Cision. I feel like Ballista Elephants should be something we should buff as well. And apparently there was no one in that room that said, but wait a second, I've seen like 1,000 T90 community games or Black Forest games or this game or that game where Ballista Elephants are actually like a really big problem for people. Like it's really, really hard to stop Ballista Elephants when they get massed. It's just too expensive to realistically make in Castle Age. Anyways, guys, they buffed Ballista Elephants. And this will hit YouTube eventually, so it's already in the freaking title, so it's not really even spoilers at this point. But that's exactly what Dark Noob's thinking about. And the light cavalry are just holding map control for the time being. We're going to see a castle here, which will secure this additional stone. And Red's an imp, and Red's going to open Halb, which to me makes a lot of sense, right? Because your opponent has a lot of cavalry. And because the Khmer are typically going for this too. Like, this is a very common thing, as I'd mentioned before. Red's going to loop on home with the Cav. Red wants to go for a push, I believe, with Bombard Cannons. As we spoke before, Bombard Cannon seems like a really good choice against the Civ. If they try and go Scorpions, the Bombard Cannons will be out. If they try and go for Cav, the Halbs are going to be there. And man, are they speedy. There you go. We have Ballista Elephant number 2 and 3 now on the way. And we have upgrades on the way for Dark Noob, who extended his boom a bit later into Castle Age. He's also dropping 2 archer ranges, so he's still like kind of on the fence on what he wants to go for here. From Red's perspective, though, like I'm trying to put myself in Red's shoes. You don't know the castle's up. You only see light cav. So I think I would be expecting Hussar, so these things to be upgraded, and then probably Arbalest. Hussar Arbalest. And actually, Dark Noob is researching crossbow and getting bracer right now. So Dark Noob is, I think in his mind, thinking the exact same things. But he does want to mix in some Ballista Elephants. And maybe it's a good unit to just not fully commit to, but just mix into a main army comp. Yep, 4th Town Center definitely cost a little bit of map control here for Dark Noob. By the way, Johnny in my chat's like, what are you, 1900, 2K these days? He kind of knows what he's talking about. Sometimes, not all the time, but it's a great point, so I'll call it out. And now we see like a very defensive, hide my king in it if I had a king castle in the back. But this, in this scenario, tells me I don't want to lose my castles. That is not for map control. Here come the light cav. They see the bombard cannons. Red knows about the castle now, and Red's ready to push. We've got 27 halps, full upgrades, except for the unique unit. And we have bombard cannons on the way. This is an awesome push from Red, who lands a shot there on the crossbows, and Dark Noob is going to be under some massive pressure here. So the way a Ballista Elephant works is it does Scorpion-like damage. It does pass-through damage, which means it can damage multiple units in one hit. It could always be converted, though. Red, for now, is just healing up. It feels like it's the perfect push for him, except for maybe a castle here. I always love to see a castle next to this type of push as well. 270 HP and then 10 base attack in the Ballista. The HP is really what makes it strong. And man, Red is playing so well so far. This micro is so fun to watch. Obviously, a lot of stone is being put into repairing this, and this is the only place where Dark Noob can get stone. And there's Red with the castle now. This, to me, is just like the perfect opening from Red so far. A mix of trash, spending the gold on the bombard cannons, forward castle to secure the position. The upgrades are also very well timed. This is awesome. And we're seeing some of that awkwardness from the Khmer, unfortunately. However, one bomber cannon gets sniped there by the crossbows. You do get Arbalest. But who needs Arbalest when you can get Ballista Elephant? Elite Ballista Elephant coming in as well as Masonry right now. The clock is ticking, though, for Dark Noob. More bomber cannons connect. 170 population for Dark Noob. Now, he can use these back castles as he places more farms to make more ballistas. We'll have 17 Ballista Elephants, which, if I'm not wrong, will be like 4,000 HP alone. Now, watch the HP. Like, watch all the stats change here. It'll be HP, and it'll be attack. And I forget if there's armor change. I don't think there's an armor change. Boom. You go up to 11 base attack now, and you get 40 extra HP. There might be some other small things involved there that I'm not aware of, but... And it used to be 8, and then it jumped to 11 once you got elite. And now we have double crossbow. Okay, so he's really trying to max out on these things. Ah! Like, I feel like the crossbows were probably a worthwhile distraction at this point, but it's kind of sad not to see you fully maxed out on it. This is not something you see every day, guys. And Red has a massive population lead, is almost fully upgraded with everything. Has full map control. Dark Noob is on the back foot. 6,000 HP of army here. Trying to catch up on upgrades, which is always awkward with this civ. Or with this unit. And here come the ballistas. So I think what I would do is we see tower shields come in, which will give the additional upgrades there to the units here. I think what I would do is I would just make a few more monks, maybe, and just hope that you could throw trash units at this. The problem is, like, I think skirms do 2 damage a hit, and I don't think halbs can get in close enough. Like, it's a really strong unit, man. It's a really strong unit. You can tell Red is really worried about pushing in against this. And in Red's mind, Red has to be thinking, I have full map control, so I don't have to go for the kill right now and overextend. It's going to be 28 ballistas soon. So the thing that's weird, I always forget how to upgrade this unit, but I think you go for the cavalry upgrades. For the same upgrades you would get for your hussars for this. Then obviously like double crossbow, elite, and then what else am I forgetting here? Double cross. Oh, siege engineers can be nice too. It's siege. But it's like the attack doesn't apply, but the armor applies if you research cavalry upgrades. But he's also going to make hussars too. I think skirms is probably one of the worst units you could have right now. But hey, you've got 2 relics, you've got some castles, so why not make some latest? Red says, let's go for some real power units. Will be 3 castles. So we'll be halbs, we'll be skirms, and then we'll also be latest. Now, I still think Red is correct to be this hesitant because you've got a lot of map control. And you don't necessarily want to overextend, but at the same time, it feels like you're going to have to take an engagement against this eventually. You might, in theory, be making it worse for yourself if you wait long. Going for the stables now. And here comes Dark Noob. Should see this bomber cannon to get the kill. And then here come the Ballista Elephants. And I'm just going to show you the HP of everything. You can't go halves against it. And skirms do 2 damage a hit against a 310 HP unit. This unit is so busted. I honestly think more people should be going ballistas. I remember a tournament where I was casting like 2 months ago on Arena. Actually, no, it was Titans League, and I think it was the Vinchester versus forget. But anyways, they were Khmer and they didn't go ballistas, and I was like screaming to Dave. I was like, dude, I swear, like maybe try Ballista Elephants, because these things are really hard to kill. This group of units is 60 kills. and they just will not die. Also, credit to Dark Noob. He has a lot of Hussars in queue. Probably needs to add a few more stables. But now Dark Noob's going to mix in some siege. Well, we do have cav for the Lithuanians. And we're going to have more cav for Red. But Red seems to be sitting here in a little bit of shock at the moment. But I'd be curious to see how the Latis perform. It is one of the best units in the game out of a castle. They also ignore armor, which I don't think will be effective here. Let's see. Elite Latis. If you know the Latis, you know how strong this unit can usually be. Elite Latis against Ballistas. Who wins? Any guesses? It's not looking too good right now for the Latis. The Elephants take so little damage, and they are so difficult to kill. Great job there from Dark Noob to use the Hussars to try and get some pickoffs. Yeah, in the end, I should have maybe counted how many elephants were there before that attack started. But in the end, while we do have to factor in the cost and whatnot, I think that was better for Dark Noob. The KD tells the story. Obviously, a lot of Hussars have gone down in some of these attacks, too. Would 200 skirms even work? No, I genuinely don't think so. Well, you can't... The tricky thing is you can't really rely on skirms at all because of the Hussar inclusion. So that's just off the table. I think it's got to be like Halb and Latis. However, Halberdier, I think, are also off the table. So I think the next big thing we should talk about is how this unit fights. And it's always in a big death ball. So the next conversation you have to have is probably, how are you fighting? So I think fighting the walls with rams and trying to run into Dark Noob's base is your best option. And kind of punish the fact that this ball has to stay together and is so slow. Skirms do 1 damage. I could have sworn it was 2 from what I saw, but maybe I was misjudging that. Red's got 70 on food, so the macro's there. Red, maybe I should be critical of Red not fully saturating this gold at the moment. I think that's something that Red should have been doing this whole time. Because, you know, you lose this control after you've already taken all the gold. You're not going to be too upset about it. But, I mean, to be fair, has been on all this stone and gold over here. And now we'll take an engagement. So we've got Winged Hussars, and we've got Latis. I like this because Hussars is not something you're going to worry about losing as much. But you've got the Hussar Meat Shield from Dark Noob, who's actually bringing a monk forward to heal. Actually, can you heal a Ballista Elephant? Well, you can't repair it, so you should be able to heal it, yeah. And Red gets the surrounds here with one of the best compositions in the game. Latis, Halbs, Bomber Cannons combined. These Ballista Elephants don't want to bunch up, but they do bunch up, and the Bomber Cannon gets a really nice hit there. That was really cool. And all right, Red making some progress. KD has stayed about consistent. Dark Noob maintains that lead, but Red has come out of nowhere with the production. And this is, I think, another way that Red can start to punish the Ballista choice because it takes a long time for the Ballistas to come out. But yeah, you can heal the Ballistas. There's a monk in there somewhere. I can't see him. You play Where's Waldo with that monk. I hear him. I don't see him. Anyways, Red with a nice attack. I'm impressed. This is a fun arena game. We have another castle here from Dark Noob. Red's actually over on this gold and is sending vills to that gold now as well. And is repopping to go for the next fight. Also, hello Goriaz, hello White Knight, hello Siege Hunter. Hello everybody. In the event people are here on the live stream, this is kind of games of the month right here. I, for a while, was doing games of the week, but things got busy, so. All right, both players have sold the market. I think Red did that a bit earlier as well. Just trying to get as much gold as possible. And remember, Dark Noob does have 3 relics, so once all the gold's gone, Dark Noob will have more gold income. Mer do get Halb. They're not the best Halbs. And they do get Skirms, which are pretty solid as well if you're thinking options that don't cost gold. Red's got 25 Latis. That's his kill unit right there. 16 plus 4 attack, and they attack very quickly. And Dark Noob loves Hussar. I feel like something that Dark Noob does really well is unit queue. I've watched a lot of his games. He can struggle to get into the positions sometimes. Like, I think he gives up map control, as he did in this game, maybe more frequently than he should in most matchups. But I mean, how can you argue with it here? Look at him now. So he's still got a monk in there somewhere healing. Where is he? I still can't find him. Oh, the monk's behind here. Okay. So the monk is still healing, but now herbal medicine is being researched, which means your units heal 6 times faster in a castle. So blue could also just send the weak ones into that castle and heal up. And I think in most cases, it's not a hugely practical upgrade, but in a long game, and when you have a unit that's this expensive, I think it makes sense. Oh, man. So double crossbow means that there's an extra bolt that these things fire, right? Without double crossbow, I don't think these things would be quite as effective. You see Red's trying to get a surround going here. And it's just... especially with the hussars, they're soaking up a lot of the damage and how these elephants stack. I'm just not sure this is very good. Like, the latest are just not good enough. This is insane. And I forget the name of the other upload I had, but I showed an example of the Ballista Elephant in Castle Age. That was pre-buff. Like, in theory, I don't think you'll see it on Arena. Normally it goes towards Imp, but, like, this unit's strong in Castle Age too. I think the only thing that could come to mind is maybe Onager. Red has tried Bomber Cannon. Maybe Red needs to try that again. Actually, Onager's now coming in. And, oh, yeah, we've got petards! Finally, Red starts thinking about this. This is smart. Again, you want to avoid the death ball. And hitting your opponent's base is the way to do it. So we're going to have 2 petards bust down that piece of wall. 2 petards should take out a house as well. And this is going to change the game. Oh, God, they didn't actually take out the house. But I think the units could. Red is a little distracted at the moment, though, because here comes Dark Noob with siege rams in front of the Ballista Elephants. This needs to be dealt with right away. And Red is actually going to be able to make it into the back of Dark Noob's economy. Dark Noob has some halbs and some ballistas chasing. And even researching fortified wall right now. But yeah, you just don't save this castle if you're Red. There's just no way. Onagers are rolling in. Like, any siege is always awkward, though, if there's still hussars out from Dark Noob and he uses them properly. The Dark Noob has over 100 units in the queue right now. A combination of different types of units. But obviously, that's going to lead to a lot of military as the villagers die. Dark Noob will continue to push here. Red even finishing the fortified wall research. But the rams are already through. And the elephants are going to pull all the way back here. But that was still a really big moment in this game. And I think it was the correct move from Red to try and raid. Unfortunately for Red, Dark Noob, I think, got the better of the situation because Dark Noob was able to push here. Arena is oftentimes about just like pure unit comp. Is the unit composition going to be good enough for the Lithuanians? Okay, Hussars see the Onagers, and they're going to dive in. Red with a nice attack round. A lot of Hussars will die here. I don't think that Dark Noob will be too disappointed, though, as long as he takes out some of the Onagers, and he takes out quite a few of them, actually. Still, pretty big ball of elephants, and notice he's healing inside of this castle, guys. So the ones that were weak are healing up to full HP inside of that castle, and he's also producing more. And he also has his own halbs now, which I think is a good choice. Don't Khmer also miss something like Squires? I guess they just look slower because the Lithuanian ones are so fast. I know Portuguese miss Squires. But come to think of it, I think Portuguese are the only ones that might miss Squires. And man, all the Onagers just continue to go down. I just don't know, like, what Red can do different to stop the Onagers from getting picked off against Hussars. Like, yeah, you obviously need more halbs, you need more meat shield, but that meat shield could always get picked off. I'd love to see Dark Noob do a little army swap here. Like, jump the 20 out of the castle and then put these back in the castle to heal back up. He's going to drop barracks on the side now. They missed Squires and last armor. Oh, okay, nice. So I think Portuguese do as well then. Red's got more halbs on the way. There's 30 halbs on the field now. So there's more halbs than before. But still the Hussars are able to glide along. Red's still got gold though. Red's still been able to take this gold and still could take this gold too. And I think that's something Dark Noob He's going to be kicking himself for. But he's got 37 ballistas. This is when the KD will start to shoot back up. The ballistas are ready to play again. Like, why would you ever want to make house when your opponent can do this to them? Oh my god. That's insane. I don't think anything can kill this. I really do not think anything can kill... Well, sorry, in this matchup. Like, I think Siege Onager could. But any option that most civilizations would have against this could just get picked off by Hussar, like monks and Siege. I have to say, it is expensive, right? And it took Dark Noob time to build up to it. There's certainly a window there for Red. Red did have some success. Could have maybe pushed in a bit earlier. Red's going to secure more of that gold. And is still hoping, obviously, to get a good little surround here on these Ballista Elephants, which have been the reason we're watching this game so far. You know, one player sacrificing Hussars to take out Onagers. I guess you could sacrifice Hussars to try and take out Ballistas, but one's more fragile than the other. I'm not seeing many of these elephants go down at the moment. And Dark Noob's still being very patient, and I think he just misclicked. I don't think he meant to make knights. And he's actually canceling them in all of his stables as we speak. And there we go. There are the Hussars. Yeah, I think block printing monks can be good, but it's still 100 gold a pop. Maybe if there's a weird world where it's late game and it's Bohemians, they could get their unique tech that we never see that makes the monks cost food. Like, this group has 186 kills. It's a group of 39 units. That's quick maths here. 5? Is that like 5 kills a unit? Also, Red was going to try an Onager cut, and Dark Noob spotted that. Can you imagine if the Civ had Bomber Cannon as well? Now, here's where this gets fun. Like, Red... It feels like every time Red tries to push, Dark Noob responds. Dark Noob hasn't really tried to go for a game-ending push yet. He's been very relaxed. And so now, he's going to move over here to take this gold, as he did before. Rip to these villagers. They lived a good life. They were successful gold miners. Yeah, now Red's got to come over here and deal with this. Blue sends a couple Hussars in after the Onagers. It's a very frustrating feeling to just see these Onagers get picked off time and time again. Yeah, Castle's going to go down here as expected. Dark Noob should probably send vills right now to take what's left of that gold, though, because we're almost out. There's not a lot of gold remaining right now. And he has also queued up knights by mistake again. Probably just a hotkey issue. I have done that many times myself. Dark Noob. Still debating on if we're going to see a full-on push into Red's base, I think, right now. But the Ballista Elephants continue to impress. And it's really satisfying to watch as well. 200 kills for this group of now 34 Ballistas. So we've seen like 4 units die, or 5 units die since I mentioned it last. And we're talking fully upgraded trash, bombard cannons, Latus, and Hussars. Is wild. And the Rams are going to make their way towards the main base of Red as Red rewalls. And the Ballistas advance forward. Now, they can't easily fall back to their castle now, so this could be a bad thing. Or it could end the game right here. Keep in mind, Red's relics are right behind here too, so Dark Noob could always steal that. Red is producing a lot, though. You gotta give Red credit there. And that's maybe been the only thing that Red has had going for him, is just production buildings, the types of units, just sheer numbers. There's still 30 Ballistas, though. And Red is kind of out of gas at the moment. And the little push here continues here from Dark Noob. Now, a moment here for Red where there's no Hussars for the Onagers. Let's see. Okay, that did nothing. Also, Ballista Elephants can chop trees, too. So, you know, if you wanted to just get in with the Ballistas, you could take out the trees, as you just saw there. Dark Noob. A little light right now on the Hussar reinforcements. That's a surprise to me. But Red notices the Hussars are arriving, and Dark Noob's now going to go for the siege. And should take the siege, even though all the Hussars will die. 235 kills for this group of Elephants. That is a large portion of the amount of kills we've seen in this game. However, there's still an onager here. There's still an onager. Get the onager. Feels like the onagers do very little damage. I feel like you'd need 4 or 5 direct hits to kill an elephant. But, ooh, red gets a little surrounds. Definitely feels like that slow, progressive push that Dark Noob was going with before, where he always had Hussars in front, was the way to go. And he's starting to lose his Ballista mass. And red, with just pure numbers, is somehow weakening this ball and killing it off. Well played, red. And I really think Dark Noob, like, I think you can go for that if you have the unit queue. A while ago, remember, he had, like, a million Hussars all the time. He didn't really have that when he tried to move forward there. So, I'm surprised he tried to push there. And it's going to be fairly expensive for him to try and do all this again. Lots of tasty siege, though, for these Hussars to pick off. So, maybe red will save this one. There's a chance. It doesn't save that one, but saves the others, as we see an onager fall back from red behind the castles, because Dark Noob's trying to push here. Hasn't given up on the ballistas, still trying to get more of them, but is switching to a lot of halbs with some hussars. I like how he's trying to mix more Ballista Elephants back in. Also, lovely how the Eco KD is 41 to 41. That's interesting. Still surprised we're not seeing Dark Noob send villagers to take this gold. Like, that could pay for your next wave of ballistas. And red with a nice little rewall here. Just in time. Yep. Because Dark Noob was going to try and run in through that gap. So red holds. Red's in a great position. We have 84 farms for Dark Noob. We have 75 farms for red. And I think red is now looking to be in a stronger position since the death ball's gone down. But it is massing up again. We've got 18 now. I don't think the Halb edition was necessarily a bad thing for Dark Noob, but I think he prioritized it over the Hussars in one too many situations a moment ago, which likely led to his problems. Like, Onager suddenly becomes really effective once you have Halbs like this. So I kind of like just the Hussar, but I can understand wanting to mix in some Halbs as well. In team games, dealing with Ballista Elephants is worse because there's always gold. Yeah, but as a counter argument, I guess, there's always gold for you as well. So, like, Siege Monk might be a little bit more realistic. But yeah, certainly. Like, unique units in team games, you tend to see a lot more, right, because of that trade aspect. But hopefully, if it's a team game, let's say Black Forest, one of your teammates might have Siege Onager, and I think maybe that could change the situation a little bit. All right. This is a long one. As they often are with Dark Noob. Dark Noob's just, he loves his marathon games, man. I don't know if he loves them, but it feels like I've not seen a Dark Noob game that has been a Dark Noob game on Arena that's been less than an hour. And we're at 1:13 now, game time. Yeah, you see that? Like, that bomber cannon snipe there is something only Hussars can do. Red might continue the quest to Onager cut there on that side. But here comes the push from Dark Noob, who now has 18 ballistas. One thing that became very obvious to me after he lost that ball was how long it's taken him to get the numbers up again, right? So we could talk about the strength of the Ballista Elephant, and it looks really fun to use. But it is costly. For a 1v1 game where you won't have a guarantee of long-term gold income beyond the relics. Is it too costly? I mean, so far, I would think it's fair to say that if he didn't go for ballistas, this game is over. Right? Like, no other option made sense to me. Even just standard elephants wouldn't have worked. Here he goes. And all of a sudden, Dark Noob's population is insane. I don't know if he deleted villagers or what, but the resources are flying in, and he's got more and more army out there. He did actually snipe the Onager yet again. Great awareness. And it's actually Halb Ballista that has made some way into Red's base. And Red's got idle villagers inside the TC, farmers that need a job right now. And Red comes over to deal with this. Maybe this is the way to do it. Have the Halbs as the meat shield, because the Halbs don't die as quickly as the Hussars. Wow, yeah, that seems really strong. Because there's no real units out there that do super well against the Halbs, except for maybe some of the Siege, and now Red's made Skirmishers. And now some Hussars are in. I think Dark Noob has found the ingredient. It's much like a lot of the ranged melee combinations we see have success in Age of Empires. Combine it with Halberdier. Like Halb Arbalest, Halb Longbow. What's another good range? Trying to think. I mean, Halb Arbalest is pretty much the most generic comparison I could give. You see that more consistently. I almost said Halb Mangadai, which is not a thing at all, and Mangadai... Mongols do not get Halb. So, that would have been a really stupid statement. Man, like, it's two onagers firing non-stop on these poor helpless elephants, and they're fine. Yeah, Halb Siege onager is another example. Halb Scorpion. He just brushes it off like it's nothing, and I feel like he's done enough damage now where he could maybe heal these bad boys up. Also getting ready to chip away at Red on this side. This is some great control over the game right now for Dark Noob. Red has had to send all the new units to the other side, and now Dark Noob is ready. He shows up with Trebs. He dove here with Hussars to pick off the crucial siege for Red to defend this. And now all the rally points are going to be right here. And so then what you do is, after you take out a castle, you want to swing right back into Red's eco. Like, pretty soon we should be seeing that. Obviously, he needs to take out the castle first. You don't want to send units back into Red's economy until you take out a castle, I'd say. And if you feel like you can realistically take out the next one, maybe you just stay here and do that. But this is still wide open. Red's going to start block it off, though. We have 1,100 kills for Dark Noob. We have 1,000 kills for Red, so both players have crossed that 1,000 mark. And the Ballistas... Even though it's just 18 of them now, they continue to look strong as this group approaches on 100 kills. Like, I think Red did the right thing adding the skirms, but I think we established before that the skirms do a lot less to the Ballista Elephants. And skirms obviously still going to struggle against a bit of a Hussar mix. And Red calls the GG, and man, was that a fun game. So yeah, like, it really depends on how long you guys have been watching, because some of the things I'm about to touch on, you might not have been around for. But just to reiterate, like, Khmer on Arena used to be one of the best civs when they had Bomber Cannon. And the way players would play it was with Hussars and then with Arbalests that weren't really that special. And they would win the game combining that with Bomber Cannon. Then Bomber Cannon was removed, and then suddenly everyone was either not playing Khmer on Arena anymore at a high level in events and whatnot, or... they were playing Khmer, but they were using Khmer for some of the bonuses, like not having to make a barracks before a stable, etc., or just a faster castle age. And then they would try and go and they just like force it home and not know how to spend their gold. I think even the castle age version of the Ballista is strong now on Arena. Of course, you know, you might as well go Imp. But like, I think that the way Dark Noob play this is legitimately strong with the Khmer. Especially at mid to low elo levels, because at mid to low elo levels, people aren't going to even have the fight of Red. So if you have games where you can boom up and have time and make a lot of Ballista Elephants, I'll be very curious to see it. I think a lot of people are going to be screaming, wow, that unit's OP. It's just a little shocking to me that it took this long to have a high-level player show it in a non-like meme scenario. It is a really strong unit. It's got lots of armor, got lots of HP, combined with some of those upgrades we talked about. Very hard to kill. I mean, Elite Latis is one of the best unique units that we see in our game, and Blue didn't have Halb, and the Latis got freaking shredded, man. the Latis died like the Hussars did, and there's a very big difference in the cost and with the effectiveness of a Hussar and a Latis. So, well played. I also think Red played very well. Again, I don't know who Red is, but the only way that Dark Noob look amazing here is with an amazing opponent, so well played. Dark Noob had 95,000 food collected this game. Red actually had more wood, more gold, and more stone. But it was not to be at the end of the day because the Ballista Elephants. Also, what was the most created unit? Yep, this makes sense. About 600 Hussars there for Dark Noob, then 490 there for Red. I wanted to say something else about this. Okay. So, please understand that with what I'm about to say, this does not mean I'm actually going to see your game, because there's a lot of submissions already. Lots of people are posting games in the Discord. However, we are looking at games a little more frequently. And what I like to do now is I like to issue almost a challenge to people. Apologies to all the arena lovers out there, but if you're out there and you ever play arena and you're wondering what to do, I want to see whether you're 1600, 1100, 600 elo. I want to see people try this, okay? So if you're playing this game, I want to see people try Ballista Elephants, combine it with whatever you want, like Dark Noob did in this game at your level. If you end up having a game, whether it's a win or loss, we have a Discord. The Discord server is going to be in the YouTube description for those that watch it on YouTube. When you're in the Discord, you can plop the game in there, give the description and all that jazz. Maybe I'll take a look at it, because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is only something that a high-level player could execute on because it's really expensive. But again, my theory is, like any really strong high HP unit, I think a lot of people could surprise the opposition and produce some pretty crazy moments for themselves at their elo.